This is FYI on your TV, brought to you by Hometown News. I'm Kathy Botham, and I have got Carol Anne McNeil with me. My goodness, you are with Connect Well Community Health for more than 40 years. Wow. Congratulations. That's a milestone. Good for you.
Oh, thank you very much. I certainly do love it. So I wouldn't have been there that long without having a great
commitment.
team.
It's a commitment. And you love what you do.
And
obviously.
I love what I do. And I love what I do. I've been very, very fortunate, for sure.
We're going to talk about the respite services, too. So let's just start off with it. What is respite?
So respite services, or respite in general, is a break for families that have children. Basically, respite is a break for families that have children, period, of course. But when you have a child with any kind of special need or any kind of disability of any nature, you do need a break. It's a lot of sometimes work, or sometimes these children don't sleep very well. You're tired, and it's stressful. So we provide a service, and have for a long time, over 40 years, that allows families to have either support through workers or support through perhaps one of our homes, to come and just drop their child at a safe place, or our workers will go in and they're qualified to work, and they certainly can provide that security and that reassurance that the family needs to go out and maybe have a coffee with a friend, or maybe get their banking done, or just have a shower. As simple as that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some things we just never, we're not mindful of that, but it does take some care to even have a cup of coffee or go for a shower, for sure.
Absolutely.
Some of the services too that you provide, which I really like too, is you take the children out into the community. And when we talk children, what age ranges are we talking about?
So
here
we
too?
look after children from the time infancy right up until seniors.
Okay.
So it's a wide, lifelong kind of range. In fact, there are some little kids that we started with, and now, of course, they're adults and certainly grown and are doing all kinds of great things. So it's a wide range of service, for sure, for those individuals and what they need.
Absolutely, because sometimes people, they're worrying, sometimes they think child just because they have a disability and they're older than me.
I know,
Yeah,
exactly.
So it is child, infancy to
adults,
seniors.
to seniors,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
And you were mentioning before we started taping too, you also take people out. You can take them to a hockey game, you can take them to Beavers.
So there's a huge range needed. So there's the in-home respite. There's also, families really want their children, like all of us, to be involved in the community. So a worker might come and take them to Beavers, to Cubs, to the movies, to skating, to a sports activity, to a dance, to a drama class. And whatever the family or that young person might like to do, if there's a way that we can help them by providing that support at that activity. It might be transportation, and we live in Lanark County. Transportation is a huge issue. Just having the child picked up and taken is a huge lift and respite to a family.
Okay, now you've already talked a little bit about some of the types of services, but you've got so many more too. We've got from a couple of hours to, I'll let you expand. So
you can have, you can have someone come into your home, like we mentioned, for a couple of hours. There could be more if needed. And also we have the out-of-home respite services where the child goes out to the home. We also provide programs. So we have developed programs like Saturday programs. We have have had some after-school programs, some evening programs, and of course in the summertime when the kids are off, we have programs all summer. So those are necessary for a family to keep coping with all of the things they're trying to do, like work, like get groceries, like provide for their family, and really importantly, provide for their other children. Sometimes we forget about the siblings and their needs when we have someone that has extra needs, and so often we try to be inclusive of that. If the family needs to go out, the worker can look after everybody that's there if that's necessary and if it's possible. Sometimes it takes a couple of workers to do a family depending on the needs of the family.
All right. Now, Who do you support? People have diagnoses, that sort of thing. Who is it you?
Our mandate is developmental for sure, children and adults. We have quite a spectrum, so some of our diagnoses might be on the autism spectrum. Children with ADHD, we have different medical complex children, and certainly some behavioral complex children as well. So a huge variety of diagnoses that would qualify.
Okay, now I'm just throwing this question into staffing requirements.
So staffing is it's like for every other sector right now, is a huge issue. So we are struggling, as many of our families know, to find workers that are qualified, and we do provide quite a bit of training as well. However, it is a challenge right now.
Right.
So there is sometimes a wait to get a worker. Families call in to Connect Well Community Health and can be referred to the respite program, and we will help them with a variety of things. And I might just say, we do, a large part of what we do is the funding. So obviously these workers cost money, they are paid, and so we provide a service of applications to different fundings that the government has in play, and we'll walk families through that process. We can help broker that money when they are approved, and or the families in some situations can manage it on their own.
Okay. Now, children go to school 5 days a week,
Yes,
5 days a week, and then they turn 18 or 21. I think it's 21 they go to school till now too.
Hopefully.
So, and then they're adults. They're considered adults. So what does your adult day program? Because that's usually the parents, families look for something as soon as they're done school.
They do, because they're working. Most families are working, and when the child goes to school, they go to work. So that doesn't stop at 21. Most families, the atypical family, their child is off doing something and they don't have to have care, but in this case they have to. We do provide, so one of the things we have is respite homes. We have 4 respite homes, actually. A children's one here in Smith Falls, and then there's a home in Perth, just outside of Perth, on the south of Perth, and then another one on the Franktown Road. There's also a home in Carleton Place. So 3 of those homes, the adult homes, provide a 5-day opportunity for people to get day programs. Now, because there is such a need, because it's difficult, we sometimes offer 1 or 2 days to a family, just so that we can offer something to more people. But it runs 9 to 3-ish, depending on the need, and transportation is often involved in that, obviously. We do try to transport. Sometimes it's not possible, but as much as possible, we try to provide that service. The ratio, it's a small ratio, so because of the complexity of the individuals, so usually it's a more like a home-based daycare kind of opportunity for families. But some people, that's what they're looking for and need, so it works out well.
That's right. Now being in the field for more than 40 years, you must see new people all the time, but you've probably have grown up with some of.
We have grown up with a lot of people, obviously, and we've watched them develop and move on, and it's always the best part of the job, actually, is to watch individuals that have gone through our programs after programs and actually engaged in the community. Some folks have jobs now. Some folks have gone on and had families and have their own life going on, and some families are seniors themselves with their adult children at home. And so I guess one of the things that is interesting is that. So what we talk about at Connect Well, especially in the respite services and our clinical services, is what are we doing now? Because times have changed. There are not group home spaces for all the people that we're talking about now. We serve over 500
Yes, your numbers are
clients,
phenomenal.
and
really.
so there is a huge need, and it's growing constantly. And that's just in respite services. That's not in the overall Connect Well developmental services as well. So yeah, it's time to talk about what are we going to do in the future, and we are sharing the care of these individuals with the families. I mean, the families love their children and their young people, and vice versa, and they really, really thrive in the family setting. And so to Connect Well is a support system for that to happen. So the beauty of it is sharing the care. It's a gradual situation where often a couple of hours when a little person is running around is plenty for many, many families.
Right.
It gives them just that break they need. But that seems to grow over time. And so by the time someone's an adult, they may need 2 or 3 or 4 days a week of respite overnight, just to get replenished to keep going. So we try to do that as much as possible, is listen to the families and try to give them more respite if they're in a position that they need that.
Absolutely. And when you're part of watching somebody grow and flourish, and you see what their dreams are and their potential are too. It's so nice to see that. And
yes, absolutely.
It really is. Now you used a word before we started taping too. Share care. What was that?
So it's what I was just talking about a little bit. So share care is, again, we coined that phrase to say that we're sharing the care. And when we first opened in 2006, we opened the children's home in Smith Falls, and then we soon found that those young people became 18 and grew out of the home, so we opened a second home in the Perth area for adults, because once families got used to having weekend respite, it was difficult to say, I'm sorry, we don't have any place any longer. So it sort of grew, and again, sharing that care is essential, listening to families, having them at the table, and really looking at their goals for their individual. So then it continued on until we have our home in Lanark Village, which is Robertson. And there we do have some people that stay most of the time with us. They visit their families, but their complex, both medical and behaviors, are just such that they really need a staffed facility that really supports them. But they still belong to their families.
Yes.
And that's such a lovely sentiment, I think, for them, because that's who we're talking to constantly. And parents know their children the best.
Absolutely.
No one knows how they operate and what their needs are like the family.
And they've been there since the beginning.
Well, and I've always said, it's wonderful that we share the care, but those holidays and special occasions, all these individuals, they want to be with their families, and their families want to be with them.
Absolutely.
And so really, our staff are exceptional for sure, wonderful, wonderful people, and but they have their families they go home to as well. So that's that concept, and I think in the future we need to really build on that and really strengthen that concept. I think respite in the future is going to be much more needed than, and it's with the share care concept, it's a viable thing to be putting energies into.
And a wonderful thing to be involved in, too.
Yes,
wow.
And a wonderful thing to be involved in.
Oh, wow. Now, I made so many more notes, Carol Anne. You're going to have to come back because we need to continue this conversation. Well, I thank you very much for coming here today. How do people learn more about your program? How do they get hold of you or Connect Well Community Health?
So we have a website, so I would encourage people to go onto the website and look at it. It's quite extensive. It has a lot of information, and I think certainly people are more than welcome to connect with any of the directors at Connect Well. We have a wide variety of clinical services as well, so there's lots on the website.
Lots of happy faces and the smiles that I see on the pictures too, so that's always nice to see too.
It is.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you very much for coming here. Carol Anne McNeil, Director of Respite Services with Connect Well Community Health. Thank you for joining us. Please come back.
Thanks so much for having me.
Soon.